Welcome to Sharks Weekly, and I'm your host, Josh Raphael, and I have with me head women's basketball coach, LeAnn Freeland-Curry. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm good. So just to jump right into it, last year you guys made your 10th straight SSC tournament, obviously leaving out of the COVID year. How did you feel about how you guys finished and what you think you could have done a little more of or less of?
Okay, great question. I feel like that we had a really tough year overall with injuries and illness. It was a very challenging season, and I thought our players persevered very well, very resilient. It just seemed like that we were never able to find a flow as a group, because when we were getting in a rhythm and start playing well, then something else would happen. So unfortunately, some seasons are like that. I've been pretty fortunate not to have too many in my career, but I give a lot of credit to our players who kept showing up and kept fighting hard, even though things weren't really going our way consistently. One of our weaknesses was three-point shooting, and we worked a lot on it throughout the season. We were just never able to really knock down those threes that we need to in order to run our effective offense or run our offense effectively. So we addressed that in the recruiting, and we're excited to get back on the court this year because I think we'll be starting knocking down those threes that we typically do.
Yeah, no, of course. So what would you say, going into this year, what would you say is the biggest difference going into this season with this team's opposed to last year's team?
I would say overall experience, because last season, unfortunately, we set out the entire 2021 season due to COVID. We didn't play at all. So we had a very young team that year, and it was great in some regard because we got to really teach them the offense and work on their skill sets and things like that. But there's nothing that can replace real game experience.
Yeah.
And so, we had some players who we were really counting on and just didn't really know the league, didn't understand the level of competition. And this season we have those players back. So they got a year under their belt. If they were a freshman or a transfer, they got that year under their belt. And then we brought in 6 new transfers as well with experience. So that's the biggest difference, I think, is just the level of experience, the level of knowledge that this team has. I think our IQ is a little bit stronger because of that. And I think that's priceless.
Yeah, 100%. So kind of talk to me a little bit about those 6 new transfers that you guys got.
Sure. So hopefully I remember everybody. So Kiana Grant is a transfer from UT Martin. She's a twin sister of Kiara Grant. Kiana is a point guard. She started several years at UT Martin and played big minutes for their program. So she's adapted well early to our system, and I'm excited to see what she will bring to the table. She's an aggressive on-ball defender, really strong point guard, and just a tremendous athlete. So we're excited about her. Suzanne Kinran from UC Riverside. She played 2 years there, but had to redshirt last season. And then the year before that, it was a COVID year. So she got the year back. So even though she's been in college 2 years, she has 4 years of eligibility. Yeah. So kind of unique. But Suze is a very athletic finesse player. She's 6'1". She can shoot threes. She's European. She's from Turkey, so she's got that European flair. So she understands the game at a high level. And even though she was kind of slow to practice in the fall due to just a nagging injury, she's back at full go, and she's really making strides at this time. So we also have another transfer, Zeno Sarin from the University of New Mexico. She's also Turkish. They were not friends before, but they had a mutual contact, and we were able to reach out to both of them. And Zeno she can really play any position. We're not sure what she feels natural with yet because it's so early, but she can do a little bit of everything. She's a very powerful driver, athletic finisher. At 5'10", she can do about anything. Again, that's why she can play any position. Really strong three-point shooter, and overall a really good passer. But again, you'll see her playing, I think, anywhere from the 1 to the 4.
Yeah.
So she's really valuable in that regard. So Madison Frederick is another transfer from Iowa State University. Didn't have a lot of opportunity to Iowa State, but she was highly, highly recommended from their coaching staff because of who she was for their program for 4 years. Even though she wasn't on the court that much, she brought a lot of energy and toughness and just energy overall. But she's someone who's very versatile and can play 1 through 5 for us. She's 5'11", a really good 3-point shooter. And again, that high energy she brought for Iowa State, she's bringing that every practice here, and the players absolutely adore her. So who else do we have? We've got 6. So who else am I forgetting? Help me out.
You might have
Delaney
touched
Wolf
on,
is not a trade. I'm sorry.
you might have touched on, I think you touched on a good amount of them.
Well, those are just 4. Delaney Wolf is an incoming freshman who has really shown an amazing amount of coachability. And again, she's in a precarious position because she's the only freshman on the team. So she's learning a lot, and the players have done a great job giving her confidence just to go play. And I think that helps her with the coachability because she's been a lot of fun to coach just so far, and she's really improved a tremendous amount. Emma Kraus from William and Mary. How could I forget about Emma? Emma is a player we've known for over 10 years. She was our ball girl, believe it or not.
Wow.
When she was little, she came to our camps and was a fixture on the sidelines with us. Out of high school, she did go to William and Mary, played 4 years of basketball for that Division I program, and really had some success. But once she graduated, she wanted to get closer to home. And we have a great graduate program that she was interested in. So she decided to join us. Another versatile 6'2". She's very solid around the basket, but is more comfortable shooting threes. And that's one thing that we've always known she could do. She's got a beautiful shot. So she's another one. And then another player who returned to our program is Skyla Osceola. She was with us for 4 years. Decided not to return last year after she graduated because she had a few injuries along the way and she was just kind of tired of fighting it. But then she missed it, and we love Sky, so she wanted to come back and rejoin the program, and we're really happy that she's back for sure. And I feel like I'm forgetting someone. I'm gonna look up we can go ahead on to the next question if you'd like while I check our roster, because I am not going to forget about anybody, Josh. But when I'm on the spot, it's easy 100%. To do.
It's clear that you guys are really focused on getting the experience because, like you said, that's something that you guys really needed. And obviously, that's a big strength going into this year. So if you had to, obviously, you guys haven't played any games besides, scrimmages. But what would you say so far, just from watching from fall, summer, like what would you say you believe is your biggest strength so far as a team?
I would say, no question, our depth. I think we've got, we've got 14 on the roster. I think we have 14 players who can contribute. I'm not saying we'll be able to play 14 night in and night out because that's a little difficult to find a true rhythm. But I think we've got tremendous depth. Back to the question, Mackenzie Steele. How can I forget about Mackenzie? So Emma and Mackenzie are going to be mad. But Mackenzie Steele is a player that played at Florida Southern for 4 years, one of our rivals. And she graduated from Florida Southern. Again, we have a great graduate nutrition program that she had interest in it. And so she decided to join our program, and she can play right away because she did obtain her degree from Florida Southern. And Mackenzie's known for her 3-point shooting. She is a lights out shooter and has already developed the ability to take people off the dribble too. She didn't do that a lot at Florida Southern because it really wasn't her role, but we're challenging her to do that. And she is way more, I knew she was a great athlete, but she's way more athletic than I think she even knew she was around the basket. So we're excited about Mackenzie as well. And I believe that was everyone. Perfect. That is everybody. So anyway, so what else are we doing well, or what's going to be a strength of ours? I would say, again, I do think that our on-ball defense is going to be better this year too. I think that we've got some long athletes and some fast players who are going to be able to harass more in the half court and potentially even in the full court. Yeah, no,
100%. And, kind of talking about a little bit about last year's team, you had some players come back from last year. One player in particular who was a key part, of your success was Haley Connolly, and she was off to a rocket start last year. Obviously, before, she suffered an injury, unfortunately. How has her, recovery been, going into this season? How would you say, she's progressed from the injury?
She's progressed extremely well. She is a very disciplined person. So once she made a decision to, move forward with the surgery, she just put her head down and it's like, okay, let's get better. Let's get better. Let's get back. And she progressed faster through the protocol than most people do.
Mhm.
She had a PCL tear, which is a very unusual tear for a basketball player. It's an impact injury. So she made it back very quickly. Our docs were pretty conservative with her return to play, but she rejoined us and has been practicing for. She rejoined us way back in September, so
Yeah.
she's been doing great. She's getting a feel for getting her confidence back again. Once you have an injury like that, it often takes a month or so to kind of get your head right. But she's very tough and very determined, and has already made a huge impact on the court and also from a leadership perspective since she's been here for 6 years.
That
6 years,
experience we've
yeah.
been talking about, you need it.
That's some experience.
Yeah.
That is some Skylo Cielo as well. That's going to be technically it'll be her 5th year with us, but she's been around for
Yeah,
6.
a
So
little bit.
yeah, she's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, absolutely.
So we've talked about, all the athletes, last year and this year's team. So we have to get into your head and learn a little more about you,
Sure.
being the head coach. So, I think something, people want to know what got you into coaching? What gave you that passion, that fire, that okay, I want to be a head coach.
Absolutely. So I'm just a very competitive person, as all coaches are. And I love teaching. So I actually have 2 degrees in education.
Mhm.
And my plan was to be a teacher. And I was a teacher actually right out of college. I was a 7th and 8th grade geography and US history teacher, and I coached volleyball and basketball at the junior high level.
Yeah.
And that was my plan. I love teaching, love the kids. And that was my future until the head coach I played for took another position from the University of Southern Indiana. And the assistant coach I played for, Rick Stein, took over as head coach. And I got a call and he asked me if I had interest in getting into college coaching.
Mhm.
And it was a tough call, to be honest with you, because I really love what I did. It was going to be hard for me to walk away from the classroom because it's what I love. But then I started thinking, I'm still teaching. I'm just teaching the game of basketball. So
Yeah.
it was obviously the right decision because it's led me to, Nova Southeastern for the last 10, 11 years. And I've been a head coach now for over 20 years. So
Yeah.
it's crazy how time flies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
And actually, I haven't been a head coach 20 years. I've been a head coach 14. Let's see. I think around 15 years. So not quite 20 yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. But obviously, you guys have a game coming up. And I do want to say thank you for coming on. We're going to be back next week for another episode. So, Coach, again, thank you for coming on. I really do appreciate it. And I hope you have a great day.
Thank you. You too, Josh. It was
Thank
a
you.
pleasure.
Pleasure.